And welcome to today's webinar on Microsoft Teams Direct Routing via VoIP. I'm Liam from VoIP Line Telecom.
And I'm Dean from VoIP Cloud Wholesale.
Here's what we will be covering today. So understanding Microsoft Teams Direct Routing, key business advantages, and how to get started, which will be a live product demonstration.
This session will run for about 30 to 45 minutes with questions and answers available at the end. You can submit questions at any time using the Q&A option in Teams. MS Teams Direct Routing enables businesses to connect Microsoft Teams to our VoIP services.
Our platform provides SIP and SBC provisioning, so Teams can be your primary phone system, or you can work alongside our PBX and have calls just go straight to Teams.
Direct routing provides cloud-based phone systems inside Teams, use existing numbers, lower cost than Microsoft calling plans, advanced PBX features like IVR and queues, high availability SBC clusters, work from anywhere calling availability.
So stepping into that, I will go into our live product demonstration. So I will just be sharing my customer portal. Now, as you can see, this is a customer portal. So once you've signed up for an account and you have access to this, or your customer has signed up and they have access, you'll be able to do quite a few different things. So we do have a how to set up integration, which goes into full in-depth details. But the primary things you will require to set up Microsoft Teams Direct Routing as a minimum is you're going to need a phone standard license. So on the Microsoft side, you get the phone standard license. That could, if you have an enterprise license, already be included in your packages. Or if you don't have an enterprise and you just have a business level or something else, you may need to add that on as an additional, and that would be per person that you're connecting to the platform. Now, Microsoft obviously changes its pricing and always has something different going on, but for our minimum requirement, it is the phone standard license. So we always just recommend chatting to our Microsoft approved reseller to get those licenses within the administration portal. Now, on that basis, on the Microsoft side, you will set up a DNS setting and do configuration there to be able to connect our system to the Microsoft side. Our guide does walk through that in detail. So as long as you have access to the administration Microsoft side, you'll be able to go in there and set up the DNS settings. And then from our side, you'll be able to copy the FQDN address here, as well as the text token that we've got here as well. Now, from our side, the minimum licensing will be each user that you're setting up will need a phone number and a Microsoft Teams device license. So if you haven't seen the system before, under services here, you can access PBX licenses, phone numbers, can port numbers in, you can set up SIP trunking, which is another option we'll discuss later, as well as you've got the Microsoft Teams device licenses. Now, with the two different options we have, let's say we have our phone number and we have our Microsoft Teams device license. You can set up either using our PBX, which uses PBX licenses for your users. So essentially an extension of your user, like a physical desk phone or something like that. This is the Microsoft Teams license. It's just an additional device, like if you just had a mobile application or something like that. So it becomes like an extension of that. The other option, other than just using our hosted PBX, is to use SIP trunking. So SIP trunking just basically allows you to do call termination services directly into Teams. And then when you're on the Teams side, that's where you're going to configure all your call routing. So inbound call comes in, you're going to set up your call queues, you're going to do everything on the Teams side. So all you're utilizing our system for in this second option is SIP trunking and call termination. So your numbers will be in our system, your users will be set up. The DNS will be done, but essentially instead of having calls come into our system and use our advanced hosted PBX, it goes directly to Microsoft Teams. Now, I'll go through and show you a few of the setups and what you can do, but essentially, let's say we're going to set up one user. I'll go into my phone numbers if I haven't ported numbers across, and I will buy a number for this person, so like a direct extension. Then I'll also add an account under the Microsoft Teams license section here, and this is for the both scenarios. So remember, this is a minimum. So if I just do this, this is obviously not all connected, but let's say we've got past that. I'll be able to set up my email address for the Microsoft Teams, obviously matching what's in Microsoft, as well as set up my phone number for that person. Now, once you've configured the DNS settings and set up all that kind of stuff, you'll be able to add this in and you'll be able to see the pricing and the costs here. So once you've added your first user, you'll be able to submit your order. And at any point, you can always add multiple users at once. So as you go through and you enter the email addresses and select each number, you can add them all in, and then you can have all your users set up and licenses on our side. Once you've submitted the order, this is kind of where you go into that split path. So you have both different options we're talking about. So you can either use our advanced hosted PBX system, or you can use SIP trunking. Now, to keep it simple, I'm just going to go with the simplest first, and then I'll show you our advanced hosted PBX next. So keeping that in mind, we're going to do SIP trunking with Microsoft Teams Direct Routing. We've got our Microsoft license for our user, and we've got a phone number. So what I will do is go into SIP trunking. Now, with SIP trunking, you have channels. So these channels represent as many concurrent calls as you want this trunk to hold. So let's say I just want two. So one inbound and one outbound, I can add that in, and then I can add a license. So when I add this trunk license in, we can see over here, we've got SIP channels and we've got the call plan trunk for the trunk. Now, if I just go with pay-as-you-go, let's just keep it simple. We will just have the pay-as-you-go rates, and we'll be able to add that in. So once I've selected my channels that I want and my trunk plan, and I have my users set up, I can add all that in and submit my order. So once that's been submitted, then I will be able to go into my PBX and start setting up my SIP trunk. Let me just refresh. Should be able to add that now. Perfect. So I'm going to click on my PBX now here, and then on the left-hand side, these are all our advanced features, which we'll dig a bit more into when we look at the advanced PBX setup on our side. But for this, we're just remembering that the numbers is going through the trunk. So when I drag and drop my SIP trunk in, I'll be able to go into the settings of the SIP trunk itself. This is going to come up. So I click on the settings, and then in here, you can name it anything you want. You can assign as many channels as you want, but the mode I'm going to change to Microsoft Teams Gateway. So when I go through, it will allow me to select the trunk plan that I want. It will allow me to select any caller ID. So in this regards, if you had multiple users, like 10 users set up, and you wanted when they use this SIP trunk connected to Microsoft Teams to use one number, you can always select one number here. So let's say I want all my users, when they make an outbound call, not to use their individual trunk numbers. I want them to use the one ending in 1428. I can select that. Then when you've selected the Microsoft Teams Gateway mode, you can see here, you can add accounts. So once you've configured them and it's all set up, you can add that here. Now, in this scenario, let me just add a couple of channels. In this scenario, when you've configured it, Yeah. I'll just add that again. So trunk plan, we want MS Teams trunk, and we've added a user. So when we've added the user and we hit save, what would have happened here? This trunk and this information will already be connected to the DNS through the Microsoft Teams settings here. Now, the next important thing that we really walk through there is a whole heap of PowerShell commands you need to run. And this is going to be in both scenarios, but we do have a PowerShell commands generator. So if you're doing direct routing gateway through SIP trunking, you can generate that. Now, that will just give you a basic document, and it will go through commands that you need to run and everything like that. Now, each user, anything you make changes to, you need to run these commands. But essentially, when you first do it, the important thing is when you're running your PowerShell commands, is you run it as an administrator. So you right click and run as administrator for it to go through. Once you've all done the DNS and you've done your PowerShell commands and you've set up your trunk, that'll all connect through and simply just go directly through to Teams. And on that side of it all, because you're not using our advanced PBX system, you're going to set up everything on that side for Microsoft Teams and how you want your calls to route for the users and stuff. Now, let's say in this scenario, we're going to do the advanced hosted PBX services with us, and you're using our hosted PBX licensing. So in this scenario, you still need a phone number for the person, and you still need the Microsoft license, and you still need the phone standard licensing from Microsoft themselves. What you'll need to do here is once you've added your user, just like we did previously, by clicking Add Account, entering the email and selecting the phone number, and your DNS has been configured, what you'll need to also do is add a PBX license. So clicking on PBX licenses and going to users, device and plans, we need to add a user. Now, in this case, we do not need to have this device license because this device license is for something like if you wanted to connect our in-house built web phone application, or you wanted to have a physical desk phone that is not Microsoft enabled through SIP connection. What basically you can do is minus that to 0 because their device license will sit here. When I add this user, so I've added it there and I'm going to submit my order. Once it's been submitted, I can then go into the PBX. And then within this PBX here, we no longer need the SIP trunk because we're doing a different scenario. We'll be able to set up our user license. Just wait for that to submit. Beautiful. Now, we will go into user, drag and drop that in here, go into the user settings, and then you can name this anything you want, but we'll just call this MS Teams for now. You select the sub account that you want, which is the licensing. So we can see that's a pay-as-you-go plan. You can select the caller ID you want this user to use. Other features, got call recordings. If you want to do call recording to email for free, or you want to use our cloud storage, you can use that. There are paid plans for that one. And then on the right-hand side here, where it says device configuration, if I click my little green button, you can see all our devices, so our internal web phone and stuff like that. Because we have no device license under the PBX licenses, we won't be able to add any of these, but we do have a Microsoft Teams device license that is sitting there. So we can click that and it will pop up with everyone you've configured and put into the Microsoft Teams section. We can just hit add. Now that will be added to this particular user. Again, we would go back through and run all our PowerShell commands and go through as an administrator and do all that. Now, once all that's done, that user should be able to make an outbound call from the system. To receive inbound calls, we have our fully equipped advanced hosted PBX system. So let's say we want to start routing calls inbound. What I'd start with is an inbound number. So there are a couple of scenarios. So let's do one where we just have one user and it's a dedicated number. So we'll say this number is dedicated. It's not a business number. If someone rings it, I want it to only go to this user. I can say inbound number by going into the settings, dragging it from available numbers to included, and then connecting to my two little boxes. So what will happen is the inbound calls from this number will go to this Microsoft Teams of this user with their Microsoft Teams device. Always hit apply configuration, but as soon as that's done, any inbound calls that come to that number will just go directly to that Microsoft Teams user that we set up. The more advanced, because that's a little boring for us, let's do something a bit, more exciting. Let's do an inbound number. Let's do like a traditional business system. So let's say we want time conditions, so automated time conditions. Let's say we also want a voicemail. So if I'm closed, I want it to go to this voicemail. But if I'm open, I want it to go to a queue. And we can have a queue of Microsoft Teams users added in here, and we can route the calls our own way. And then let's say if they don't answer, we want it to go to voicemail. So with all these little boxes added, you can see some are red and some need to be configured. So what I'd be doing is clicking on the setting for the one I want to configure and adding those time conditions in. So let's add day of the week. So we're going to add Monday to Friday, and we're going to add in hours. So let's say our hours are, let's just do nice standard hours. So 9 to 5. So Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. These are my conditions. So when I hit save, if it is matching these conditions, I want it to go to queue. So what I can do is I can connect these little arrows in the boxes together, and I can do this. But what I can see is when I've done the first connection, just to keep it neat, I've done it up here, but it has said if it matches these conditions, send it to voicemail. Might be heaven for some people, don't have to answer calls, send everyone to voicemail. But what you can do in this scenario is you don't have to worry about connecting it down here. You can easily just click on here and change it to matches. So you can switch these quite easily around. So no stress, it's quite intuitive that way. So now what I can do as well is connect my inbound number into this time condition. So someone rings this number currently, it's going to go to this time condition. If it doesn't match, it goes here, so after hours. If it matches, it goes to this queue. Now with this, let's do the doesn't match first, and then we'll talk about queues. So if it doesn't match, I'm sending it to this voicemail. So I'm hovering over the voicemail and clicking on the settings. I'm going in. You can name this anything you want. So let's just you can even keep it voicemail, but let's call it after hours voicemail. You can upload your own greeting. So you could just play our default, which just says, please leave a message, but you might want something a bit more custom. So you can upload your own wave audio into here, or you can use our system to record your own voice. You can use it via the browser, or you can do it via an incoming call. So you get the system to call you, and you can just record it. It's quite cool. Or maybe you just want to disable it, but in most cases, you're probably going to want to record in. Now we have a couple of options for storage. So by default, we enable local storage where it'll just be stored locally on our system. And what you can do as well is voicemail to email. So you can just have voicemail at .com.au, whatever you want in there. It will attach a file for you, as well as we do have advanced parameters. So by default, it's just going to say voicemail, but if you want to give it a custom subject, you can open up your advanced parameters and just pop in subject after hours voicemail, as well as we do have a few key things here that will overwrite the default, but the default is just basically you've received a call from this number, which you can write your own message in there. It's up to you. As well as you've got like timestamps and stuff you can add in. Now, once I've hit save, oh yeah, must have a space in there. There we go. So hit save. Now, if I wanted it to go here to my queue, I can click on the queue settings. So we do have quite a few different options, but queues are most popular because you can have people on hold. You can make it sound like it's ringing. You can put hold music in there. You can ring multiple people in a queue. Ring groups are also popular, but ring groups don't have as much advanced features. It's kind of just, it will ring to the group and then leave, where queue you can set your hold times and stuff like that. So queues are a bit more advanced, and you can kind of customize them. You could make them like a ring group if you really wanted to, but yeah, it's my preference because there's so many little customizable things in here. So name, I'm just going to call it call queue for today. Internal number, if we ever need to dial it, you can elect that. You can elect a 4-digit number for that. You've got ring mode, so you can make it ring all, you can do linear, you can do round robin, or you can do least recent. And just by hovering over it, it gives you a bit of an explanation. Now, if you go down here to the green button again, so this is specific users to be called, I can click add, and I can add my MS Teams user that we set up initially. So adding that user to this queue means that any calls that come into this queue will definitely go to that user there. Now, on this queue, we've also got greetings, so you can upload your own file or do the recording with the browser or direct call again. You can play a ringtone. So what this is if you click this, it's just going to sound like it's ringing directly to someone. Some people do have that preference. Otherwise, you can select from hold music here, or let me just hit quickly save. You can go into settings and upload your own music on hold. So if you have your own music on hold, you can add your own collection, you can name it, and you can upload the files, which is quite cool, where you can customize that. Then once you've uploaded the file, obviously, and how you want it to sound and ring, you can always select it here. Now, in here, you've also got periodic announcements. So just like voicemails and all that, you can upload your own custom, you can disable it, or you can do a default, which is just a white noise. But essentially, you can play periodic announcements at any intervals that you want. So if you go through here and you want to play it at 120 seconds, you can. So for these examples, if you've got a help desk or you've got an online booking service or something like that, this is where you want to input that. So if you have people on hold for more than 120 seconds, maybe you want to go, thank you for calling. Did you know you can adjust your bookings online? Visit da-da-da-da. Or we have a comprehensive knowledge base. Please visit da-da-da-da. Or for inquiries related to this, please check your emails or something like that. Or if you have, in a circumstance, maybe promotional material. Did you know we're offering a 20% discount on equipment? Please hold and talk to our representative when they get on the phone. All that kind of stuff can be done. Another popular thing is if you do have long hold times, exit codes. So call a bank may go, thank you for holding. Your call will be answered in so long. If you would like to request a callback, push 1 now, and then you can make that something that goes to like a voicemail or something like that. Now, after that, you do have your maximum wait time. So maximum wait time is default 10 minutes. You can really set this to anything you want. So let's say we just want it 1 minute. I have people who want it 30 seconds. So you can do all that kind of stuff just by default here. Now, in advanced parameters, we have quite a few little things, like just going back to like a bank or something like that. Announce caller's position in queue, you can do that and how often it happens. You can also route calls, people are already on calls, so you can enable or disable that depending on how you're operating. So some medical centers want calls just to come through and they'll pick up and put them on hold, pick up and put them on hold. You can do that, or you could let the queue handle the hold while they're waiting and stuff like that. So really preferences. It's really great with the customization we have there. The other thing is we have announced wait time to the user. So while the user's waiting, you just hear your wait time, as well as we do have announce when the call is answered to the person answering. So let's say I'm answering the call, I can hear in my headset how long that person's waited. So it's quite useful. Now, if we hit save, we will go straight into here and it's all configured and beautiful. Now queue's not going anywhere. So in queue, we'll have two options now because we've enabled exit code. So we'll have first option, which is maximum wait time. So they've waited more than 30 seconds in my case, and they're going to voicemail. Now, because I've enabled the exit code, this second option pops up. You could send it anywhere you really want to, but if you wanted it to go to a voicemail or a separate voicemail, you could. But I'm going to send it to this same voicemail just to say, thank you for calling. Please, we're currently busy. Please leave your name and number and we'll get back to you shortly. Something like that. Now, obviously, we have many different things to play around with in here. We have geo routing and all that kind of stuff. A lot of these features as well, what we love to recommend is if you did want to play around with them, drag and drop them in the settings when you go in. Each of them has a knowledge base article associated with it. So we've worked really hard to create comprehensive information about everything in our platform, as well as within the support tab here, we do have a comprehensive knowledge base that you can go through as well, which the KB articles within the objects are linked to, but you've also got them here if you want to view them. So in this case, a lot of those objects are under building your call flow, and you can see everything and about the information we have on all the features. But for a standard setup and advanced PBX, generally people just have time conditions and voice menus, but you do have things such as like geo routing and stuff in there as well. Okay, so Dean, I'm just going to bring up my other screen. So just bear with me while I do that. Okay, so we'll move on to Q&A. So as you can see, very comprehensive. There's a lot you can do. You obviously have the simple version where you just have your phone number, your MS Teams, and you connect it through to SIP trunking directly through Microsoft. And then everything's managed on Microsoft side. The other thing, our advanced hosted PBX, you can always utilize that and essentially create any call flow you want using our system. Now, with Q&A, at the top there next to chat, you should see a Q&A option. I can't see any posts or requests that have come through yet, so please go ahead and post any questions that you do have right now. We'll give it a minute or so for people to react or have a thought of questions. But essentially, that is it for the live product demonstration. These videos are recorded, so we will be posting them on our YouTube and posting them in our knowledge base on our websites as well, so you can easily access the live product demonstrations too. Dean, any final thoughts on Microsoft Teams or anything that I may have missed?
No, I think I think you've covered it off pretty well. Obviously, there are many options. Don't be afraid to try things out and see how it works. Obviously, any changes you make, they don't apply unless you press the apply configuration button in the top right-hand corner. So let's say, for instance, you're playing around having a little bit of a look about whether you want to add in a voice menu or something like that. You can obviously play around with your call flows, but unless you press that apply configuration, that previous call flow will continue to work.
Perfect. I think on that basis, so just having a look one more time, just give it a quick refresh. Perfect. Yeah, I just have one question, which is, will it be recorded? Yes, it will be. So that will also be emailed out. So as attendees, as you've registered and you've clicked the link, you'll also get an email after this. Just give me like probably half an hour to configure it all for you, but you'll also get that too. Perfect. I've got one that's just come in, slipped in. So for inbound calls, can you ring both the physical phone when configured and Teams at the same time? Yes, so you can have multiple licenses. So within the PBX licenses that we're talking about, if you're using our advanced PBX system and you're using users can have multiple devices. So they can have Microsoft Teams and they can have a physical desk phone if you wanted to. The other option out there that has come popular on the market as well is physical desk phones with Microsoft Teams software installed on it. So basically you do a Teams connection and then Yealink has a couple of these, Microsoft Teams Direct Routing phones, but essentially you just log in on the phone with their username and password. As long as you've got a VoIP service connected to that in the back end on the Teams side, it will work through the app, it will work through the desktop, it will work through that hard phone as well. So you do have that option, as well as you do have just a traditional SIP phone where you can connect it, because those Microsoft Teams phones can be quite pricey, but it all comes down to preference. So you can definitely do that and have a Microsoft One account where you log in and it's on the phone, or you can have a traditional physical phone with a device license and stuff added to the system. Perfect. Well, look, we're not going to leave you high and dry. So we'll keep connected. You can always contact our technical support team. You can reach out to me if you want to talk about retail stuff, or if you're just a business looking to use our technology in VoIP line. And Dean, I'll let you go off with your little spill.
Yeah, now we've reached the end of the webinar. If you're interested in more information regarding wholesales or partnership opportunities, you can visit us at voipcloud.online, or obviously through the phone as well.
Perfect. And just keep in mind the details are on the screen, so you can always reach out at any point. Perfect. Thank you all for joining, and look forward to seeing you in the next webinar.